Hey everybody, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. Today we're going into game number 2 of this China-Korea Race Survival Series playoff match. Right now, Team Terran is in the lead. Sin's being knocked out in that previous one. And Sin's probably the strongest player overall in this entire team. So, or in fact, playing at all in this playoff round, in my opinion. I think Sin's is probably the strongest. So kind of painful for Team Protoss. They've fielded their Chinese star JayStar. And down here in the bottom left of Apocalypse, we have Hiya, once again, the Korean Terran pro gamer. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what JayStar can bring. JayStar is extremely old school. Like, I've known JayStar as a player for, I want to say we're coming up on 20 years, something like that. So he has been around for a while. He is a strong Protoss. Plays mostly a macro style. We'll see if that works out for him here on Apocalypse. I think it's not bad on Apocalypse, but generally you do want to put some early pressure on. You know, speed shuttles can be good. Arbors can be good. So we'll see what JayStar wants to go for. Hiya down here. Unsure what he wants to open with. Like, based on the building placement, I'm going to guess that he's going to go for a gas, you know, factory expansion. And I think factory expansion is really good here. Gases is extremely good if you can scout them first, but you can't guarantee that, right? It's a coin flip. So, you know, a lot of times this outcomes and then you're trying to go gasless and you get screwed. Anyways, we're super early in the game. Hope you guys like this little deviation from the regular ladder replays. I do like this type of format. I think you guys probably know if you've watched the channel for a long time. Every now and then I do some of these race survival matches. I think it's really fun to see multiple different styles of the exact same matchup played on both sides and trying to counter each other a little bit. I don't know. It's just it feels like a good learning situation. It builds like a cool storyline and everything. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this. And of course, the winner will go on against the Zerg team, and I will end up casting that when that gets broadcasted as well. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Now, Hiya gets up here and he's going to scout a 2-gate opener. This is a no scout 2-gate, so it looks like he just wants to go 2-gate range, put heavy pressure on, and expand twice, most likely. For JayStar or Hiya's side, now when you're playing against this, there's a few important things to take into consideration, right? Like, first off, to hold, you need siege mode. You will 100% need siege mode. Also, you're going to be forced into missile turrets because you have to have detection in case they switch to DTs. Now, the question is, do you cut the vulture or do you make the vulture? And also, you have to get your command center. If you try to just hold this on one base, it's like the worst thing in the whole world because they get the huge map dominance and then they expand and you're without an expansion. So you want to go for an expansion. The vulture is very normal. You want to put the vulture out there so they can't send all their goons, because if they send all their goons and you happen to send it in when no dry goons are popping out, you can kill a ton of probes. So very strong. So then you just kind of go expansion, siege mode, turret, hold. In fact, this is something that I've casted very recently in a free versus light game. And, you know, there's a lot of different ways that you kind of can play it. But let's just see what Hiya wants to end up doing here. It looks like he's got to throw down that command center. If he goes siege and siege tank first, that's a little bit wild to me. And he does. So this is overly safe. This is overly safe, I think. Like, he could have thrown down the command center and already had siege going. And, you know, the tank takes 32 seconds. Siege mode takes 50 seconds. So, like, it's not even in my opinion. I'm just going to say it. It's better to go siege mode and then tank. So, like, he could have already made the command center and gone siege mode, then tank. Now, he's bringing a bunch of SCVs down, but, like, look at this. Nexus is going to be up for Protoss first. And not just that, he has to actually make an eBay pretty soon. So, like, his command center's later. His command center would be, like, that far to done. So, yeah, I feel like this is not optimal play. Also, he needs a 4th SCV there. Sieges his tank. So he will be able to push that back. The SCV is going to get in. This is a really important moment. He's going to get in and see that it's a robo follow-up. So the robo follow-up will actually allow him to skip the engineering bay. If you are able to block that, then they have to get the engineering bay. So I wouldn't be surprised if he still does, but I think he'll probably go armory, maybe academy against this. Now the vulture runs in and it got one probe. It should be able to get another one, but then I think it will be taken out. Be surprised if it gets a third. Oh, maybe it will. Maybe it will. Oh, no, not quite. The goon was kind of glitching there for a moment. Anyways, that's some really good intel. He is safe. But again, that Nexus is going to finish faster for JayStar. So this build that is supposed to actually be kind of cheesy aggressive from JayStar gets its expansion up first and is actually ahead in workers. So yeah, when you kind of look at it in that regard, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's annoying that your siege tank with siege mode might come out a little bit later. But when you look at this situation where like JayStar literally wasn't punished at all, 0% punish for what he's opened with here, he's got to be happy. He's got to be extremely happy with that. So a third gate has been added. Is he going to go 4-gate? The way that this is sitting here makes me think it's going to be 4-gate, which is like, that's just a mass Dragoon observer build. He is getting the shuttle, so he might actually end up making some zealots to put into that shuttle. That's in, like, if you're doing that, it's going to kind of turn into a bulldog. Now, this is weird. Okay, so he went for the 3rd gate, but now he's going support bay. So 3-gate shuttle is generally like a bulldog build, which is not actually a good build anymore. It was very popular way back in the day. But normally with Reaver, you go 2-gate. And you can notice, guys, I keep clicking on these gates. Artosis, why do you click so quick? I can't help it. But also, I'm trying to show you here that he just started his first out. This gate has been up for like a minute and a half or something, right? So this doesn't all fit together. You need, that's why we normally see like 2-gate Reaver, or we see like 3-gate Observer, right? Like you want to kind of optimize that way. So yeah, kind of, you know, I mean, JayStar can play how he wants, but it does seem like that's just slightly unoptimized. Little setup here by Hiya. He's just kind of defending in his main base, and you can see it did turn into Armory Academy. That's what he got to do because he got that scout in, so that was really, really nice. Still has a very good containment. 8 Dragoons up here, right? So if you try to send anything up, 2 volleys from, you know, either side is going to kill anything coming up the ramp. More factories on the way. We see Hiya this game already surpassing what he had as far as SCVs go at like 12 minutes in the previous game. The Nexus, 3rd Nexus coming up here for JayStar. So this is all very, very solid. And from here, he probably should think about adding another gate. And as his observer's flying around, if he sees more than 3 factories, you'll probably want to add even more than that. Oh my God, is JayStar actually going? He drops a couple zealots, then drops the Dragoon. He's just shoving forward. An absolutely rabid play here, but he gets rid of the bunker. Down goes that Reaver, but it did get some good shots, and in fact, he ends up killing another siege tank there. A lot of SCVs starting to go down by JayStar, and the SCVs are blocking reasonably well here for Hiya. Kind of like that was pretty crazy, and in fact, he's going to run forward here once again. He decides, you know what, there's only 3 siege tanks here and a couple Goliaths, but the blocking is pretty good by Hiya. He is going to pick off another tank and maybe even another one. So I guess at the end of the day, he's killed like every single siege tank, and you have to start over as Hiya, but he's sacrificed a lot of units as well. Another quality move, though, is we did lose a lot of SCVs there, dropping sub 30 for a moment. Down goes the barracks. He does already have 5 factories and his economy's low, so it's not going to affect him for a bit. Putting some heavy damage onto the command center now. Good scan there, able to take down the observer. JayStar is actually taking a pretty heavy lead here. So the Reaver coming out. Plenty of production. 3rd Nexus gets the Forge going. 40 workers to 32. Looks like he's shoving again. I think the shoves are over. You have 3 siege tanks here. 3 tanks in siege mode. 1 shot a goon. So like you're losing them at a huge rate right now. You don't want to continue that. Looks like we might get that comm set to burn down. Not the end of the world, but it will cost 2 SCV production if you want to remake it, which is kind of rough considering the amount of SCVs that Hiya has lost so far. Not the greatest position here for our Terran. I don't think it's completely unplayable yet because we don't have a ton of production for JayStar. Although I think if JayStar goes up to 6 gateways here, then I'll be a big fan. Like I feel like that's exactly what you want to do. The Citadel, I love it. The Forge, yeah. +1 on the way. Some cannons maybe going up to stop drops. I mean, a starport, if he had started a starport, that would be a really good play, but he did have an observer in here, so he kind of already knows that's not the case. In comes Shuttle with Reaver. A couple Zealots in here as well, just looking to find an area for some damage. So drops out the 2 Zealots, and then the Reaver going to try to get that damage onto this 1 siege tank. Maybe just a little bit of missed targeting there. It felt like he was waiting for the second Reaver shot instead of turning that Zealot around right away. Oh, God. Sorry. We had another dive at the front. I'm kind of surprised. It looks like he lost 5-6 goons. So, hey. Kind of crazy, okay? And look at this. Oh, my God. I actually really like this style of overproducing Goliaths in a situation like this. He's actually going to be on, like, 7 Goliaths as opposed to the 4 we normally see. I think this is going to do very well for him. I think you pop out 2 more tanks and you consider going because the gates are kind of late, and Hiya, JayStar just wasted a lot of units. Like, I don't think that was appropriate, the attack at the front. The drop is I'm not a huge fan of it, but the attack at the front was pretty poor during that, and he lost a lot of his units. And you can see the supply very, very even at this point as far as army supply goes. Obviously, much better economy for JayStar. He's gone up to 7 gates. He's still producing out of his robotics as well. He's getting the leg upgrade, which is incredibly important. But he doesn't actually have a standing army, so he needs to make a big round of Dragoons. He's basically doing it. As all the Dragoons he has queued up pop, that's on the low end of Dragoons that you could utilize here, and then maybe you go into pure speed Zealot. But from here, I think you just, okay, maybe let these 2 tanks finish, then rally pure Vulture, and he actually might be able to push through. The Goliaths will add some extra damage in there that's a little bit unexpected for this moment because they do better damage against the Dragoons than Vultures do, right? So you're expecting a small amount of siege tanks as you reduce that count quite a bit, but here they come with those Goliaths. The shuttle going to turn around, but there's so many Goliaths right now that he can really rail that shuttle super, super fast. Okay, the speed upgrade is done for these Zealots. Running through, he's looking if there's any mines to drag. See, he picks off that Reaver very, very fast. Pulls back here, JayStar, ooh, this is some good engaging on top of the siege tanks, but he's losing his Dragoon count again, and this is critical. Like, it doesn't matter how many speed Zealots you have. Once Terran hits a certain amount of units, you need the Dragoons in there to guarantee the damage, because just speed Zealots get microed against, like, too heavily. And losing all of those, could Hiya actually close this game out quickly from here? There's a possibility. It feels like JayStar has just been a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too rabid. Still 5 factories here for Hiya. 39 SCV, so he's getting there as far as his SCV count. Still producing, getting that +1 armor as well. Already has his +1 attack. Pretty good setup here. I would like to see him maybe pull one of these siege tanks, like this siege tank, pull it over here and like spread a bit more. If he gets this Nexus, I think he's just going to win. Like, this is going to become unplayable really quickly for JayStar. He's got an okay amount of gates, just not a lot of units. Now moving up, getting some mines down. Yeah, this does not look like something that you can engage very easily. Don't forget, though, Hiya doesn't have a lot going on at home. 43 SCVs. We're right on that line where you're kind of like, this is 2 base, 5 or 6 factory production. Like, he'll eventually be able to afford a command center. In fact, he throws it down now. But it isn't super fast or anything like that. JayStar, in the meantime, does throw down another. In fact, it gets scanned just as we check it because, you know, Hiya's thinking like, okay, how do I possibly lose this game? Does he have other bases up? Maybe he's going carriers, right? Those types of things. You're going to look for those. Sends the Vultures over to the side and will be able to probably just force a cancel here. No great way to clear this. I guess he'll bring his Reaver over and see if that is going to work. So yeah, going to drop that Reaver out if he gets some good Scarabs. Hey, there you go. Couple go down. Should probably drop the Zealots there as well to tank some. I don't know that he's like, well, I mean, I guess technically he'll save this, but it's easy pickings right now. You can send a few more units over there, and it's really hard to keep that alive. So Third base is still coming up. No probes here, and I don't think that there will be for a while. Ooh, sends the Goliaths there to put some damage onto the shuttle. Not a bad idea. Kind of keeping him busy as well. You can't get probes out here without either breaking the push or bringing your shuttle. So as some tanks come up, that's going to be the end of this Nexus. Hiya very close here. I'm wondering, could we get another Hiya all-kill here in the CK race survival? Well, this spread is very scary indeed. Really hard to hit. Some reasonable defense at home. Science facility on the way. I don't believe he's actually remade his barracks, which is something he actually really needs to do. You can notice the money's starting to really peak here. You know, it's important if you have a kind of normal amount of SCVs after you get your third started that you add more factories. And that's like, unless you're on 6 fact and you're kind of low on SCVs, that's basically always the case. You know, your money is going to start expanding very, very quickly at this point, especially as you've already bought a bunch of upgrades. You already bought most things like missile turrets and things like that as well. So right now, JayStar trying to clear some of this containment. Little move over by Hiya. Siege is up on that high ground. JayStar has been pretty patient here. A lot has gone wrong since he kind of threw his units away at the front so aggressively. But he's trying to get himself into a position where he has a chance to break this. Right now, it doesn't look possible. If he had 3 more speed shuttles, maybe. You bomb him just right up in this area. You'd have to go from this side because the Goliaths are all over here. He does see that, so at least he can maneuver this probably into the right area. Okay, there is another one. He is making more speed shuttles, so I think he realizes that, like, okay, this seems like it's the only way that we're going to break this is going to be, like, really masterful shuttle usage. Okay, he's going to dive in. Has to get those out of there. Okay, the targeting was very good here from Hiya. He picks off both shuttles quickly. The Zealot's getting up on top of everything. Now, the Dragoon's being pulled over to this side. Ooh, I don't think this is going to end well. It looks like Hiya should be able to kill this whole army off, and if he does kill this whole army off, there's no chance left for JayStar. He needs to clear this and gain map control. But unfortunately for him, he's not going to be able to do that. That's kind of a wild game. JayStar absolutely had an advantage early on, a pretty big one, but kind of threw it away trying to finish Hiya off there when he could have just gotten further ahead. Unfortunate there for JayStar and Team Protoss, but Hiya picks up a second win here for Team Terran. Thanks for watching.